Good evening, my name's Alex Campbell.
And my name's Bruce Willis.
And you're watching the Dissecting Who special presentation.
Special presentation!
So we're reviewing the first episode of Farscape. And I want to preface this entire thing by saying that neither of us have seen the entire series.
No, we've seen one episode.
Yeah, and assumably if we had seen the entire series, that would change our opinion of this first episode.
Yeah, well, so, at one point, we successfully watched Stargate multiple times or whatever, at least I had. You'd watched the whole thing.
Yeah.
And, desperately looking, knew that around the 90s there were other sci-fi shows, and that would be like Star Trek and all the other versions of Star Trek,
The little branch offs.
And
ones.
And it's like, okay, well, you want to watch more sci-fi, and really that time period was the time period where a lot of that 90s. Interesting stuff was coming out, right? As opposed to today. I guess it's kind of changing now.
It's happening a bit more with Netflix and Stan, so we're kind of getting back more into that. But there was a big null where there was just like zero sci-fi on television.
Well, yeah, like 15
years. It was an
years
explosion, and then nothing.
Which is really, really weird. I don't know. They didn't think it was profitable, I guess.
Yeah, I guess like Star Trek just had its run, fan fatigue. Stargate got cancelled because MGM went bankrupt, and
that was a writer's strike as well, though, right?
Yeah, I believe that had impact. So after that,
maybe that affected the
I think that affected TV in general.
Well, just like sci-fi, right? Because you have to have interesting premises coming out through writers and stuff, screenplays and whatnot.
Yeah, definitely.
For that to happen, so maybe the submissions of interesting stuff just stopped. Yeah. But so anyway, right? So then we go, okay, well, Farscape.
This looks cool.
we know what Farscape. We've heard of it.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that's sort of held up around, Stargate, Star Trek. And
we watched it.
We watched it, and it was like, this is fucking awful.
Yeah, this is not of the quality that I wanted. It
was very
not at that level. Yeah.
I think we did acknowledge, when we first watched it, acknowledged a few good things that were interesting. But then there
which I'll mention later on. There are some interesting elements which are well executed.
Well, but then the other things were too jarring. There were other much more jarring things that just sort of took away from. Well, break your immersion.
Oh, completely.
And that can be because it's the first episode, and so I guess.
It might get better later on.
Are we gonna watch it and review?
I'd not review it, probably not.
No.
When I first seen it, I'm like, I'm fucking done. Maybe now I'm more interested in watching the rest.
Well, so let's talk about it, right?
Yeah.
So, now, again, the reason that I say that probably a few things you can attribute to the first episode, and that's what teething problems, that's hand-fisted exposition that you kind of get out of the way. Yeah. Right? Like, it's like, some of the problems that we see, and this is like inter-character interactions and all this sort of stuff, is you look at that and go, okay, well, that can easily be explained away with like trying to get the exposition out of the way and establishing the characters.
I was thinking about this, and Tarantino has ruined blatant exposition for me. Because the information he provides to the audience is so natural in the way the characters talk. They're like actual humans. And now every time there's a blatant exposition scene where it's just like, hey audience, this is info, it's fucking ruined, and it pulls me out.
Well, it's like,
fuck you Tarantino for writing good fucking dialogue.
What's going on here?
How's it going, man? How are you?
What's going on here? What's going on here? What's going on here? Put that down. What's going on here? What are you doing? What are you doing? Can you not talk to me?
Just for the... What are you doing?
Hey, don't do that.
Don't do that again.
It's like the first section is Cameron. We're gonna call him Cameron Mitchell.
Yeah.
I don't know what the actual character.
The actor's name is Ben Browder, so we call him Ben.
No, I'm gonna call him Cameron.
You can call him whatever you want.
He's always doing Stargate.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's him on Earth, right? And establishing the character, and he's got his father and his brother,
he's whoever that guy is, his friend or his brother is like reading a newspaper, and it's exposition about what they're gonna do, and the father dialogue is just like cringe-worthy.
You're gonna go and test your own bloody scientific theorem. And
I know.
Blah, blah, blah. It's like I know.
I'm suiting up to do it.
How long have we known each other for? And we never had this conversation about like what it is I'm doing.
And then all the interaction with his father, it's like, I'm your father and I did this and this is what I've done, this is the type of person I am. Well, I'm your son and I think this of you and this is what I want to do.
And I can't live up to your expectations. We've never had this conversation before about our relationship and what your expectations of me are, even though I'm like fucking 40 and you're like 80 or something.
Yeah, it's just kind of...
I'm glad we finally had this conversation on my third mission into space or whatever.
The only thing I ever got to use was the
guts and the seat of my flight suit.
Son, I can't help being who I am, who I was.
It's not who you are, Dad. I love who you are. It's being son of who you are. Look, I can't be your kind of hero.
No, you can't be. But each man gets a chance to be his own kind of hero. Your time will come, and when it does, watch out. Chances are it'll be the last thing you ever expected.
Yeah, that stuff.
And so, and then, they acknowledge that, he's going into space to test his own theory, which is whatever, we'll just say it's warp drive.
Yeah, they explain it. It didn't make any fucking sense to me.
It's just like, he just needs to push a button to launch a ship. That's what it looks like, right? He can't beam data back.
I want to talk about that Cape Canaveral stuff, too, a little bit, because there's some stock footage of, a spacecraft. And I fucking hate stock footage. Nothing breaks immersion like stock footage. It's like a different resolution. Yeah. It's been filmed with a different camera. It's on a different film.
Inconsistent lighting.
Yeah. And that they cut it in. It's not how a movie would be filmed. A movie wouldn't film a spacecraft from fucking, 10,000 miles away, and just don't use stock footage. Just anything else.
Let's do this thing.
Well, miniature.
I guess low budget and stuff, but it just...
well, also they had all the other effects and stuff. Right?
Do something else.
Well, the whole thing, it's funny because the rest of it is full of, Stargate level, at least early to mid Stargate level CGI.
All the ship stuff.
Yeah, all the ship stuff and stuff.
Yeah, so just do that.
Just don't have him on Earth at all.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I don't know whether his family comes into play besides being the character vehicle for
I presume his dad would come back into it at some point. I mean, do they feel like they were setting that relationship up, or is that just it?
It would be, I guess it would be weird at the end of the entire thing, right? Is if he ends up going back to Earth or something.
We don't need to see that.
But yeah, it's like Cameron comes back and he doesn't know anybody who actually understands, or he can't tell anybody anything.
Yeah,
all this stuff.
The Wizard of Oz thing.
Yeah, that would be fun.
So they wrap up the Earth stuff in 6 minutes, which is really good.
Yeah, brief.
Done and dusted. He's through the wormhole and he's in fucking...
It's funny, the wormhole is you got to distinguish it from Stargate, right? Where it looks like an ice-based esophagus.
Yeah, it really does. So it's a wormhole, but it's not a fucking Stargate.
It's not a Stargate wormhole.
And then they do something which I thought was weird, which a lot of pilots don't do, is it had the opening credits, and it was a nice sequence, really nice music. There was actually a lot of really nice music throughout this episode. Weird kind of tribal
I was going to mention that it's like tribal techno, and that really... It's very fitting it's very much to my taste, that sort of offbeat.
It gives you that odd sensation of being in an alien world. It does that very well.
Yeah. Very alien to the character.
A nice sound design with the ship and the robots and everything too. But yeah, they cut in the opening credits, and the opening credits like show all these characters that were just about to be introduced.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it kind of spoils a lot of the reveals in a way.
Well, I hope that that's not part of the opening crawl for all the episodes, because, well, I mean, you know, it's obviously less important as you move forward. Now you've got the characters.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like a flash forward. It's like, these are the things
Just
that
leave it out for the pilot and have it in all the other episodes.
Yeah, you're going to introduce the characters. We're going to see the
You're telling the story, and then it's all of a sudden like, who the fuck are all these people? Are we going to see this guy? That guy looks interesting. Who's that? And then you're like, what? Then they can all introduce.
Yeah, it was very weird.
What the? Can I have one?
You know, again, that's the whole thing. Is that it's kind of struggling, right? It's kind of floundering a little bit, like the execution, all the way through. Maybe not so much towards the end, which again would be indicative of maybe they've gotten out of the teething problems. They'd have to see the second episode to actually see. Because, you know, they've got to establish the formula and stuff as well.
Yeah, well, the pilot's always hard. You've got to, like, introduce 6 or 7 characters, introduce the tone and the premise, how the show's going to function.
Yeah.
So, yeah, pilots are normally a bit rough around the edges.
So let's talk about the aesthetic and stuff. So, and this definitely falls back into the soundtrack and everything, because they have a unified art direction.
Oh, yeah,
which is
absolutely.
good.
Yeah.
Right? And it's actually one of the things that on a second viewing that I picked up on a lot more.
Well,
right?
the alien design and the prosthetics and the animatronics is like head and shoulders above even Star Trek or Stargate. Like, the aliens just look fucking amazing.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, all puppets and stuff.
The little farting Yoda guy. And the
fucking Yoda.
This one. He's some kind of higher brain function deficient. How he escaped the genetic sieving process, I do not know.
Rigel?
What is him? It's a perfectly natural bodily function. And it's odorless, so your loyal subjects tell you. You fart helium? Sometimes. When I'm nervous or angry.
The Worf 2.0 warrior guy.
Well, so I actually really hate his character design.
Yeah,
I don't like it.
The nose?
Yeah, the nose kind of ruins it, but it's I don't know. It's kind of hard to describe. It's not as elegant as say like the woman, the priest, and then the puppets. Right? It's not as elegant. I don't know. It's just a bit weird.
Yeah, just personal thing.
Well, it's a warrior with a weird nose and.
The nose is a bit cartoony.
Well, it looks like a triangle.
Yeah.
You know, so again, they're sort of going for that tribalistic, like, but weird sort of organic, off-kilter version of things, which is really cool.
They got the organic ship, which is a cool concept. I believe Star Trek did that in Tin Man. I'm no Declasser, fucking Star Trek, fucking encyclopedia. But yeah, that's always a cool, fun, different kind of concept.
Yeah, well, that's a concept that's been thrown around through sci-fi for a while.
Yeah.
Then you've got, and again, like the entire setting itself is exactly what I want.
Right, the lighting is really good. It's not like high, bright, fucking.
Well, it took Stargate ages to get to like space and ships and planets and stuff. Like traveling and meeting weird ships and all that sort of stuff. And they start right there, which is really cool.
That is the show.
You know, and you meet weird aliens and really cool practical effects, which really cool. So they go to a planet towards the end.
Yeah, it's like a bazaar.
But it's like a huge city planet or whatever, and it's like
it's
a bazaar.
realised quite well.
And again, that's something that I really like to see in sci-fi is some just weird off fucking kilter thing setting with aliens. You know, which again actually intrigues me to the point where I'd probably think about watching more episodes.
Yeah, I'm more on that page now than I was when I first watched it. I think the main problem with this is the villains are not threatening. No. And because of that, there's no tension in the entire narrative. around the villains and the good guys coming to heads. There's the guard scene where like these fucking guards are so inept and so stupid, and he tricks them with like a little toy thing basically, and like steals their gun.
So they do set it up so it's reintegration, right?
Yeah.
They've got his father gives him a ring, or Cameron's got a ring or something, and it's one of those little ring puzzles.
Yeah.
Right, and they're being they've gone down on the planet, and the peacekeepers have found them.
Yeah.
Right, and then they send 2 guards to escort these criminals. Right, and then they go, oh, this is a ring, and he's like explaining it to the guards, like that's a puzzle, ooh. And then the other guard, like, it's like, no, that's a weapon before, and then they have like a puzzle. It's like, what are you doing?
And then he just like casually walks around and takes the gun out of the holster. And the other guy doesn't have a gun, I guess, or
I don't know. Yeah.
So yeah, the guards are inept.
Yeah, right, hang of it.
Now figure out how to put it back together again.
What is
It's
this?
a weapon you've given here before you activate it.
Now, Skip, don't do that.
The main villain is a fucking idiot, and because of that reason, there's no tension.
Well, so the main conflict with the villain
Is based on.
it's about so Cameron Mitchell, he does his experiment, leaves Earth, does the experiment with the ship that has warp travel. EMP field comes and fucks him up and sends him somewhere else, right? Then he appears wherever his destination was.
Yep.
And obviously it's like chaos and stuff, and then there's something else going on, which is ships trying to do something else.
Yep.
And as he emerges from the space, right, and you end up seeing the footage from the villain's perspective, is he's just sitting there, and Cameron's just sitting there in his ship, and then the villain's brother's ship flies at his ship, clips him,
bounces off,
and explodes.
What manner of craft is that? My brother's prowler. I'm sure that he will.
Status of the device is transport.
Advising Prowler's down.
And the main villain thinks that he has directly charged his brother and killed him, murdered him out of malice.
Cameron, like, murdered his brother.
Yeah, when clearly, like, a reasonably intelligent human being would look at the footage and see that his ship was completely stagnant and his brother has crashed because his brother didn't see this guy.
Didn't see it. Well,
So yeah, the whole conflict is predicated on the fact that this guy is...
It's really, he's just trying to blame Cameron, and you can
for his brother's death.
And it's funny because when you like just say, well, okay, the villain is retarded, right?
2D caricature, stereotypical.
You see the pain in, like, I think it's his number 1 or whatever, the blonde chick. You can see the pain in her face when he's like, alright, he murdered my brother. It's like, right?
Maybe. Probably not.
And it's like, sir, just watch the footage.
So yeah, that's a big blow to the show. I mean, maybe they develop this guy later on and those problems get fixed, but for this pilot, like...
Well, that's the vehicle, though. That's going to be the vehicle conflict moving forward.
Yeah, that's the show.
That's the reason.
At this point.
Well, so yeah, the villain is part of like some hierarchical force, the peacekeepers or something, and they have rules and regulations and all that sort of stuff, and they establish basically that because of the main conflict where he thinks that Cameron murdered his brother, he's just going to chase them down relentlessly.
Yeah, well, that presumably is going to be big narrative.
And they mention the fact that the main character Cameron and all his cohorts are now in unregulated space, which is outside the jurisdiction of the force that the villain is a part of. But they establish through dialogue that he's going to pursue them through that space. Right?
Yeah, that'll be the...
he thinks that you murdered his brother, so you think that he's going to care about that? And it's like, well, yeah, because he's part of an entity that has rules and regulations and stuff. He's going to violate jurisdictional thing, and
I guess so.
So that's going to be moving forward. And they're going to have the relentless chase, and they're going to,
which is a knock to the show.
Well,
if the Goa'ulds lacked tension, then Stargate wouldn't work. If they were bumbling fucking idiots who couldn't get their shit together and made fucking constant illogical decisions, and the show would crumble.
Well, so even the Goa'uld themselves, they are a bit silly, right? And
yeah, well, it's the arrogance thing.
Yeah, it's the arrogance thing.
But they address that in the show. That's an element within the show. That's not poor writing.
Well, they say that they've been the Goa'uld have been so used to dealing with each other in a certain way. Right, warring against each other, and they're sort of gods, and they're complacent and they're arrogant, right? That they're not used to an unstable variables coming in.
Yeah, which is a smart way to...
Well, like a trained SWAT force or whatever, basically coming in and scaring.
Who aren't ego-driven and arrogant and blindsided.
Yeah,
so that's good writing.
It's good writing, and you can do a lot. You can excuse a lot with that. There are silly moments, but definitely, from the get-go, the motivations of the villain and the way that he reacts and works is just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Clever imposter, an accomplice to a ship full of escaping prisoners. My brother's murderer.
Brother's what?
You charged my brother's prowler in that white death pod of yours.
Wait a minute. You talking about that near miss I had the first minute I got here? That was an accident.
It was no near miss for my brother.
The other characters surrounding our main character, they were prisoners on a ship, right, like a prison ship, and they all got released by the floating fart Yoda, and who's actually really cool. It's a really cool puppet.
The puppet, it looks amazing.
It looks amazing.
So much articulation within the face too. When it's like delivering dialogue, it looks great. It doesn't break immersion.
Yeah, and they picked a really good voice actor for it as well. They got released from their cages, and so they took over the ship, presumably, and so that ship was under the guard of the villain, the main villain, and his fleet or whatever, and they were guarding that, and they lost control to these people, and I lost my train of thought.
That's alright. We'll put a cutscene in here.
There's another one. I'm taking a look.
Oh my God! Oh shit! Oh my God!
Oh, yeah, no, I got it. Yeah, so they lost control of the prison ship, but they never actually really established why any of these prisoners are so valuable to the main villain. Like, besides the fact that he lost control of a prison ship.
Yeah.
Besides that, they never established
why they're prisoners.
Well, but even so, what would be the main motivation for him to pursue them so relentlessly?
Yeah.
How relentlessly does he need to pursue that ship?
We don't know.
We don't know. It's 4 people in a ship.
Yeah, random cunts.
If it's so we don't know, and if he was to chase them across the universe, which I think they're going to do, besides the main character having killed his brother, that wouldn't make a lot of sense either, and that would be annoying.
Yeah.
Because you'd see him violate all, and this is speculation, but you'll end up having a scene where his number one will say, "You can't do that, that's against regular..." No, he killed my brother, or I can't let the prisoners escape.
Yeah.
Which is stupid.
Yeah, and this show has Ben Browder and Claudia Black in it, and it's weird that they were like 2 main actors in this sci-fi show, and then when this ended, SG-1 picked them up in season 9.
Yeah.
Both of them. It seems like a weird decision to me if I was like a casting director. It's like they are known for this show and this franchise, and their names are established with that, and it's like, we'll just pluck out both of them and use both of them in our show now.
Well, yeah, it basically like the same, the same proximity. Well, though in saying that, they weren't worried about them being cast type or whatever it is. They weren't worried about them being, locked in the way that, say, Michael Shanks is with Daniel Jackson.
Yeah.
But I like them. I like both
they're good actors.
Very much so.
Ben's a good leading man.
I very much like Claudia Black.
Yeah.
Especially in Stargate.
Going into Claudia Black. Not like that.
No.
The jail bars, they obviously made big gaps with them to make filming easy, because, filming fucking tight bars, it's hard to get people's faces in and not fucking it up. But like if she strips down and greased up, the gap is like this big, like she could slip through. So once again, it kind of dissolves the tension. It's like they're not really locked in there. No, she could get through at any moment.
Wormhole.
And and sometimes you do see that in, actually I think there's at least a few, you know, like jail scenes that I've seen
with the bars
over time, and it's like, I'm pretty sure you could get through it, and especially when you see a shot of like the shoulder width of, say, Claudia Black, and then the opening itself.
Yeah, she's a small lady.
Just slide through.
Yeah.
And there's no reason not to do that. I mean, you could certainly just cut that, like put an extra strip in the middle of the holes. Or find a creative way to film it.
Yeah.
You know, Stargate did that. They did that relentlessly. Well, I guess they used the force fields, but there were definitely there were definitely other jail scenes where they just had bars.
Well, yeah, you can't film through fucking bars. I'm sure it would be tedious and annoying for a director.
Well, they're in a jail cell.
Yeah, so it needs to
it needs to look like they're in a jail cell.
Yeah, straight up. I want to talk about the ending scene too, because this is probably the second biggest problem I had with it. Ben Browder's character starts writing like complex physics equations on the floor with a pen. And then the idea is he's going to slingshot around this planet's gravity to get away from the peacekeepers.
Yeah, well, he's using his theorem that he was testing the other thing about breaking away from gravity.
But the thing is, like, he doesn't know the size or density of this planet, and that's going to impact heavily.
Or the ship.
Yeah, that's going to impact heavily on the physics of using its gravity as slingshot. Like, what is that planet made of? How big is it? You don't know.
No.
This is stuff you need to know. So, like, he's doing his thing. Like, this is his character. He's an astrophysicist or whatever. But it fell flat for me because, like, that doesn't make fucking sense.
Crichton, what are you doing?
It's a theory. It has to do with overcoming atmospheric friction.
Are you completely insane?
Listen, we're gonna have to hit a pretty exact trajectory. Can you do that?
Well, so again, it's that will be the format, the formula, right? Is that they're gonna encounter problems going through doing what they're doing.
Gonna get a pen
it's either gonna be him or it's gonna be somebody else. They're gonna take turns solving the problems.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
and his version of him solving the problem is like writing stuff down and like doing, if we can blah blah blah, and rattling off the techno babble. Now again, that's fine. That's what Carter did. That's you know, you've seen it again and again and again.
In sci-fi, yeah.
But it has to be, you can't. It's like Carter always had access to the data.
Yeah.
She always was able to make the calculations. She had instruments and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah, equipment.
And you know, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
When he was doing the stuff. But yeah, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, right?
Yeah.
You can't write the formulas down.
Like that is a very full-on technical.
How fast is the ship traveling?
How fast is the planet moving?
How fast is the planet moving?
How
What's the
much is
gravitation?
the weight?
You know, blah blah blah.
He doesn't have access to any of this information.
You know, and so they do the thing and they try to like bounce off the planet's atmosphere and then they crash and burn because he didn't get it
Wrong
right.
credits.
Wrong credits. That's it. You know. Yay! That's kind of the problem with his character, and that's obviously towards the end, and you'll see that in the format. Another problem that I have in terms of the characters is the warrior guy, the Worf guy.
Worf 2.0.
Worf 2.0.
Or
Ronan 2.0.
Yeah, his name's like Khal Drogo or something. It sounds similar to that.
Yeah.
Too similar.
Too similar.
I am Pa'uzo Tarzan. And you?
Cardago.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't find the acting very good. I find his caricature. I find his performance of the warrior alien from warrior culture to be a caricature. Yeah, it's too played up. You know, it's just not. It's not believable. For
I came across. Well, I had an interesting observation about his character. When the peacekeepers come down to capture them, right? He's holding a big fucking sword. And he's claimed several times that he's a warrior. That is his character. And instead of a well choreographed fight scene, in that moment, the guards just kind of walk up to him and he like kind of and like he shows that he has no ability for like combat whatsoever. He can't swing a sword. He has no hand-to-hand combat. He doesn't know how to stop two humans like just grabbing him by the shoulders and like pushing him in a corner. And then later on he comes to Ben Browder's character and he's like, I'm a warrior, don't you put me in a cage and fucking hold me down. And like, he's obviously very, very insecure about the fact that he has no combat abilities and he's not a warrior.
He's got small penis syndrome.
Yeah.
I have a small penis.
I can't fight, don't tell anyone. Because yeah, Ben's character does nothing to indicate that he would ever like leech upon his freedoms or put him in a cage or stop him from being a warrior.
He's projecting.
Yeah, and he comes in and he's like, I'm a warrior. Don't tell anyone I'm not a warrior.
I don't know who you are, where you're from, or what you want. But if you threaten my freedom, I'll kill you.
That's not the intention of the writer, obviously. That's just an observation I've made. So the whole warrior thing doesn't work because he can't fight and he's horribly insecure about his inability to be able to fight.
Well, it's a case of telling and not showing.
Yeah.
So you can say that you're a warrior from a warrior thing all you bloody well want, but if you don't show us, again, at least something... Combat, some sort of combat, right? Then like with his like his clearly foam sword, which is fucking awful, eh?
Well, he wasn't willing to kill them or anything.
Oh,
he was just like, yeah. Presumably he fights later on, and they choreograph a fight scene for his... Maybe it is revealed that he's never fought and he can't. No, it's not that smart.
I mean, could maybe. Well, that would be smart.
That'd be a good reveal.
It's like that he's projecting, right? And that
he's secure.
Yeah, well, they did kind of touch upon that where he's interacting with the blue chick.
Yeah, that's true.
Right, that he's very young and that he's trying to like.
He's only been through 2 campaigns,
or whatever, if that.
How old are you?
30 cycles.
You are but a boy.
I am not. I am a Luxem warrior. I have seen 2 battle campaigns.
Only 2.
That would be a dynamic of a deeper character.
Yeah.
Right, and then have him come to grips with whatever his warrior past or something.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're gonna do that.
If I had to say yes or no, I'd say no. No,
the lowest probability of doing that.
We need to talk.
Get your hands off me.
You have a warrior's instinct. Good. We'll need that.
But I very much enjoyed the practical effects.
Oh,
I think were one of the highlights.
Yeah.
The little robots running around. They've got the puppets are articulate. So when they go down to the marketplace, the big
teeth console looked amazing.
Yeah, it did.
And then you go to fucking Star Trek and it's like, where are aliens? They're just like little things.
They got what's the lizard man battle?
The original series. Gord.
Yeah. It hasn't. Star Trek didn't advance that much from there.
No. And Next Gen was a little bit before this. Probably like 10 years or so. And
10 years,
yeah, and the prosthetics never get anywhere close to that point.
Trouble. We must go.
What are you asking for those well and glow crystals?
Well, it's interesting because it's an Australian-based show, which I didn't realise. It came into stark relief when you realise that most of them are Australian accents.
Yeah, there were a lot of Australian accents bouncing around. Even Claudia Black is actually Australian.
Yeah, but
she's obviously not. She's covering up her accent because you can't have your leads have Australian accents.
No.
Well, they did that in Stargate too with the Canadian accent.
Yeah. Well,
like you're Canadian, but you can't talk like Canadians.
Even
no one will watch this.
Rodney. Did he have a Canadian? He didn't really have a Canadian accent, even though he was a Canadian character, did he?
I don't know.
It's not E.
Maybe that's not really a Canadian accent. That's just what we think a Canadian accent is.
The stereotype.
Yeah, they all speak like that.
Oh, I didn't know E. Put in clip of Fargo here.
Yeah.
He says, what do you think about that? And I says, well, that don't sound like too good a deal for him then.
You got that right.
Yeah, he says, yeah, that guy's dead, and I don't mean of old age. And then he says, geez, I'm going crazy out there at the lake.
White Bear Lake?
Yeah, well, at Eklund and Swedland, that's closer to Moose Lake, so I made that assumption.
Oh, sure.
Anyway, he's drinking at the bar, so I don't think a whole great deal of it. But then Mrs. Mora, she heard about the homicides down here and thought I should call it in, so I called it in. End of story.
So yeah, in conclusion, my first viewing was just like, Jesus Christ, this is horrible. But then upon the second viewing, there are some massive problems with the writing, I think, and the script. But aesthetically and tonally, really interesting.
Yeah, no, I certainly am intrigued to see where it would go. Again, it would be, you would only need to probably watch the second or third episodes to find out whether it's teething problems.
Fix those problems pretty quick.
You know, or else it becomes extremely laborious.
Yeah, quickly.
I'm trying to think of Stargate's first episode, which we obviously did a review on.
It was fucking awesome.
Children of the Gods,
Yeah,
part
it was like
1
an hour and a half and set up the villains well.
Yeah, no, they
set up the
definitely
characters well, got the team together. We had some good action scenes. Like, this episode doesn't have any good action scenes.
No.
I don't think the CGI ships shooting CGI blasts is a good action scene.
No.
To fucking, what's his name, 2.0, Wolf 2.0 didn't have a fight scene.
Yeah, well, yeah, so the tension definitely wasn't executed properly.
And the pacing, like just nothing happened. It was just like random scene after random scene.
Yeah. So, I don't know. We'll definitely see. I think it definitely might suffer from being sort of between something like Stargate and Star Trek. Star Trek in its setting and the way that its formula.
Yeah.
Then Stargate in like it's the expanse of what they can do and whatnot, but then not enough physical action.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah, it's on the borderline. It's kind of.
And you know, I imagine that as a show goes on, it does get better.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense.
I will probably watch it.
And there is a loyal fan base out there, from what I can tell.
Yeah. Well, so I've heard good things about it. So what I would say is, you know, maybe we should think about doing a review of the second.
Yeah.
I might end up watching it. Yeah. We'll see. We'll see. I'm going to watch the second one and see if it's worth of a review. If it's not, I'm just not going to.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough.
We might see you again for Farscape review.
Maybe. I might get hit by a car tomorrow and die.
I might just kill you and replace you.
With who? Jasper?
No, with me.
Oh, two Steves.
No, well, Jasper died. He died of food poisoning.
Oh. Yeah, I probably should have a little moment here.
No.
A little memorial. A good friend.
Don't waste my time.
Alright, thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and comments tell us that all our opinions are null and void and we got all the facts wrong.
I look forward to you doing that.
You fucking cunts. You're all cunts.
You're all cunts.
You're all cunts.
I hate you! I hate you!